Endless business ideas from trends. Welcome to Thuit Tai Van. Let me ask you a simple question. Is making money from starting a business just about luck? The failure rate for startups is high, so most people believe that entrepreneurship is extremely difficult, right? But then why do successful entrepreneurs easily launch dozens of projects, make money from many of them, and simply choose the ones that generate the most profit while dropping the ones that don't? Why do some people work their whole lives and still lose money? Why do most people think the easiest way to make money is just to get a job? In truth, that's just an excuse to avoid thinking. Because having a job means someone tells you what to do, and you simply do it. But from my point of view, the easiest way to make money in this world is to start your own business. Why? Because I just need to figure out what needs to be done, and then get others to do it. That's it. But the moment most people step into the world of entrepreneurship or money-making, they feel like a giant door is blocking their way. And that door is not knowing what to do. To open that door, you don't need courage. You don't need startup capital. You don't even need to be particularly smart. I say this with complete responsibility. Those things are not the deciding factors for making money. In fact, what you need is just one key. And the reason many people can't make money is because they never find that key. So what is that key? Xiaomi CEO and billionaire Lei Jun once said, "Starting a business is like being a pig that stands in the right direction of the wind. If the wind is blowing the right way, even a pig can fly." When I first heard that, it was like a light bulb went off in my head. No exaggeration. I felt like I had just unlocked something during meditation. Now, maybe you think this sounds cliché. That's because you haven't yet learned how to visualize a concept. Let me ask you, if during the pandemic you were wholesaling face masks, would you have made money? Those selling masks didn't need marketing, right? People swarmed to buy them without any advertising at all. That is the power of a trend. Every time there's a new outbreak, rumors start to spread. People rush to hoard rice, cooking oil, salt, even toilet paper. At those times, who cares about business models? Who's calculating costs and margins? Prices go up however sellers want, and they can make money with their eyes closed. So how do ordinary people react when they see these headlines? On Facebook or TikTok, I saw plenty of people mocking the panic-buying masses. Yet, they still joined in because not doing so felt like a risk to survival. That's a perfectly normal reaction. But sharp minds recognize the pattern early. Because this is history, it repeats. Look back at the SARS outbreak, the bird flu, or any similar crisis. Every time, the price of essential goods surges. So what do those with foresight do? They stock up early and seize the chance to make a huge profit. Some people only need one opportunity like that in a lifetime to become wealthy. Let me be clear. I'm not teaching you how to make money from disaster. People who do that are morally questionable. I'm simply using an extreme example so you can understand what it means for a pig to fly in the wind. Because the key is choosing the right door to open. That's why many business owners carry Buddhist scriptures with them, to constantly remind themselves not to stray from the right path. In today's video, I'll clearly show you how to find the key, the trend that opens the right door. From there, you'll see the proper path to financial success. This content will be extremely practical. If you've ever said, "I don't know what project to pursue," I'll give you plenty of real-world business ideas along with the logic behind them. So don't forget to hit the like button, that way you can find this video in your playlist anytime you need it. And if one day you become wealthy, don't forget to come back and share the good news with me. But let me emphasize again, this channel is dedicated to sharing wealth-building mindsets for investors, entrepreneurs, and those with ambition. If you don't want to miss out on valuable content like this, consider subscribing and turning on the notification bell. So why do I say trends are the key to making money? Because identifying and riding a trend means you're already seeing ahead of the curve. You've anticipated events and future directions before they happen. And that kind of knowledge, it has tremendous economic value. There are two core principles behind this, and I want you to stay with me because these are the foundations. In the next part of the video, I'll show you dozens of concrete business ideas you can act on. So stop saying you don't know where to start. I'll show you exactly what to do. From there, we continue predicting how the prices of related goods might fluctuate. Prices can only go two ways, up or down, right? And we can profit from those fluctuations. What does that mean? For example, when the pandemic first started, we all knew the situation overseas was very serious. So it was easy to predict that most stocks would be sold off due to panic. This didn't even require much forecasting. Just look at historical crises and you'd know. When you know prices are going to fall, you can enter the derivatives market and make money by shorting. Also, it was obvious to everyone that the stock prices of vaccine or logistics companies would rise, because the cost of producing a vaccine is very low. Just follow the news and you'll understand. The entire world needed vaccines, yet only a few companies were developing them, meaning the success would be limited to those few. So, you could have bought stock in the big-name vaccine companies while prices were still low, and sold when prices soared. Of course, this is a simple example. In reality, it requires deeper research. But you'll realize, if you understand how a major event will unfold and what developments follow, you'll have the chance to profit from the price movements of the relevant goods. The second scenario is, a major event disrupts the supply-demand balance in the market for certain products, and you can make money by fulfilling that newly emerging demand. In other words, after a major event, the market often gives rise to new kinds of needs. If you're the first one to fulfill that demand, you can easily earn a massive initial profit. At that moment, a huge amount of money flows into your pocket. What do I mean by that? Take the rise of smartphones, for example. What did the average person think when smartphones started to become popular? Most just thought, how can I make more money to buy a nice phone for myself? And honestly, most people still think that way. But what if you thought a bit further? Now that smartphones are everywhere, what comes next? What kind of future will this lead to? How will this impact our lives and the world? What will it look like in 5 years? In 10 years? I constantly train my thinking by asking myself these types of questions. Let me give you a few examples. For instance, I thought, people are staring at their phones more and more. Will their eyesight get worse? Everyone uses apps on their phones. So will the app industry explode? Mobile shopping will probably grow rapidly, right? As more people buy phones, won't the second-hand phone market also become more active? These are all secondary trends that arise from the widespread use of smartphones. Then comes the mobile internet boom, which is completely different from traditional internet. Now, you just need a phone to get online anytime, anywhere. What does that mean? It means internet access becomes easier. Surfing the web via smartphone becomes more engaging. Eventually, we might not even need computers anymore. So what does that mean? It means digital industries will explode. Physical, traditional industries will gradually fade away. Why do I say that? Because in terms of work efficiency, we can no longer compete with AI. That's a clear trend. In the future, intangible things like emotion, spirit, and intellect will be more valuable than material goods. That's why I say whoever controls the traffic flow of attention controls the world. What I want to say is, after something happens, it often affects the market's demand or a product's value, and that creates business opportunities for profit. That's what I call a trend. Once we understand that trends help us make money, a natural next question arises. First, we need to develop the ability to spot trends, right? And once we can spot them, we also need to know how to make money from them, how to operate, how to act. Don't worry, I'll explain everything step by step. This knowledge is worth millions. In my view, trends can be divided into two major types. The first type is called a time-based trend, meaning that when a specific time of year comes, certain things are very likely to happen. The pattern is extremely clear. That's what I call a time-based trend. It's quite simple. For example, every year before the Mid-Autumn Festival, mooncakes sell very well. That's a clear and regular trend, right? Every Lunar New Year, products like dried nuts or preserved foods also sell like crazy. In the summer, short-sleeved shirts sell better than long-sleeved ones. These are all obvious time-based trends closely tied to specific seasons or events. Here's another example. I have a friend who moved abroad. He discovered that every year before Christmas, a product called Flame LED lights sold extremely well. Factories abroad even had to work overtime to keep up with demand. So what did he do? He came back to China, searched for wholesale manufacturers, sourced the lights at low cost, and then exported them back overseas to sell. As a result, in a very short time, he earned a significant amount of money. It was actually thanks to the inspiration I received from him that I started my own wholesale business. This is an example of a time-based trend. The second type is called an event-based trend. So what is an event-based trend? It means that if event A happens, then logically it's highly likely that event B will follow. And when event B occurs, it may lead to event C. Such a chain of events that are both logically and chronologically connected in reality is what I call an event-based trend. For example, today is your girlfriend's birthday, but you forgot it. That is event A. As a result, your girlfriend gets very angry. Event B. As long as event A happens, the probability of event B occurring is very high. Thus, these events form a logical, time-sequenced relationship. The trend arising from that relationship is an event-based trend. Another example, in the past, the pandemic combined with false rumors led to a shortage of essential goods in the market and soaring prices. That is also a typical event-based trend. Do you understand? Only those who can grasp the trends of the times are the true winners. So how do we identify trends? It's simple. Look at the past to understand the present. Use history as a mirror and we will be able to predict the future. Please be patient and keep listening. If you understand this, it's enough to become wealthy, or at the very least, not struggle financially. Besides paying attention to what has happened in the past or is happening now, we must also think about what might happen next week, next month, next year, or even in the next 5 or 10 years. What events will occur in this world? What changes will take place in the country we live in the region we're in, or in the industry we work in? This is how you observe the world on a deeper level and over a longer timeline, from which you can identify long-term trends. Here's what I mean. For example, when I'm recording this video, it's January 2025 and Lunar New Year is approaching. So we need to think about what might happen next month. I immediately recall things that happened in previous years. During the holiday season, people usually travel or visit family and friends. This often leads to traffic jams in many places. You might return to your hometown and meet relatives, old friends, or former classmates from middle or high school going around making New Year's visits. People gather for big meals and many end up drinking a lot. And because of all the eating, people often gain noticeable weight in just a few days. These are all events that can be predicted during the Lunar New Year season, things that are highly likely to happen in the coming month. Every month, I take a few days to think about things like this. You can start practicing this kind of thinking with me too. So what's the point of knowing these things? How do we make money from them? I remember once, after Lunar New Year, I happened to hear a rumor. A classmate of mine had started a weight loss class, and it was packed with students. In just half a month, he earned tens of thousands of dollars. My other friends, upon hearing this, were extremely jealous and regretful. Everyone lamented, "Why am I not lucky like that?" Then they went back to their same old tiring jobs. I believe all of us have experienced something like this before. Basically, you hear that someone did something and suddenly became rich. Then we say, "Wow, they're really good," or "They're so lucky." And that's it. Nothing changes for us, right? But when we apply the mindset of using past events to predict the present, we all know that every year during Tet, many people gain weight. This is actually a very common phenomenon. It's Tet, there's a lot of eating and entertaining, and with abundant food, most people end up gaining quite a bit of weight. Ordinary people don't think much of this, they don't even care. Some may realize it but ignore it. But others, when they notice this pattern, immediately see an opportunity. While everyone else is indifferent, this person thinks, if everyone gains weight during Tet, surely some people will regret it afterward and want to lose weight. So if I offer a service or product related to weight loss, could I make money? Then, the following year, while others are still on vacation, this person starts planning. Designing the course, finding teachers to collaborate with, negotiating terms, thinking about which channels to recruit students through, and writing promotional content early on. Then, as soon as Tet ends, while everyone else is struggling to get back into work mode, he uses his free time to launch the project and immediately earns money. People often complain that they don't have any business ideas, so let me be direct. If you apply this method this year, you'll definitely be able to earn a decent amount quickly. But I personally won't do that. Like I said from the beginning, I don't lack money-making projects, I only lack ones that can make even more money. So what will I do instead? Still during the Tet holiday, there's bound to be traffic congestion or a sudden increase in free time during the break, which can make people feel extremely bored. For example, when you're waiting for someone, waiting in places without entertainment, or visiting distant relatives you're not close with, everyone has experienced situations like these. If we could develop some apps to kill time in such moments, like the game Flappy Bird, wouldn't that be a business opportunity? These are the kinds of hidden opportunities behind trends. But I wouldn't do that myself because the profit margin isn't high enough. If I were to do something, I'd rather start a company that helps others develop apps. You just need to provide a rough idea for an app and I'll help bring it to life. I've noticed that every year during Lunar New Year, many new apps are released. So I started reasoning things out step by step. Why do those apps become so popular? Once they become popular, won't many others want to imitate them? If I could help those who want to copy those ideas turn their concepts into reality, wouldn't that be a business opportunity? And if I prepare everything a year in advance, then by the time the demand returns next year, I'll already be a company with app development capabilities. Startups only need a good idea. If I can help them solve the technical problems, they'll save a huge amount of money because they won't need to hire an entire team of developers. Even companies with limited budgets can still create highly professional applications. This is a small-scale game that can generate big value. Win-win transactions are always the most profitable. Because when you help others make money, they'll gladly repay you. This is a money-making opportunity one just randomly thought of, and I'm not hiding it, I'm sharing it openly with everyone. The reason why you think starting a business or making money is difficult is because you've never truly trained your mind to think this way. Your mind hasn't even started moving. Your subconscious has been filled with conventional doctrines that make you believe entrepreneurship is very hard. Why does that belief feel so comforting? Because it gives you a convenient excuse not to act, not to get started. I once heard a very philosophical question. If everyone in the world starts their own business, then who will work for others? Some people feel pleased when they hear that because they can use it to criticize entrepreneurs like us. But I think it's wonderful. The world needs great people like that who are willing and happy to work for us. We should congratulate them for finding what they love, and we should respect everyone's choices, right? And I believe anyone who's listened this far must share the same mindset. So, apart from subscribing to my channel, what's even more important is to focus on the most valuable parts of what I'm saying. How can we take advantage of trends faster, better, and more efficiently to make money? First, we need to fulfill new needs more quickly. When you identify a trend, it's likely to lead to the emergence of new demands in the market. If we prepare early and become the first group to meet that demand, we can seize the speed advantage and earn the first pot of gold. For example, today's students are under increasing academic pressure. This is a clear trend. They have more books and notebooks, and the rate of myopia among students has been rising sharply in recent years. I've always paid attention to this trend and noticed a hidden need, the prevention and treatment of myopia among students. This demand is growing rapidly. Many people are aware of it but don't take action, right? Then one of my friends also noticed this trend and started a business. He opened a store near elementary and secondary schools that specializes in physical therapy services to help reduce or alleviate myopia. The result? He opened just one store and it was immediately packed with customers. Parents lined up with their kids for treatment. Within a year, he opened 5 more stores. Each store could generate tens of thousands of dollars in monthly revenue. If you add it all up, it's clearly a highly impressive business model, right? Before others rush into the industry, if you're the first to spot the trend and act to meet the demand it creates, then you've already secured the best part. Always remember, identify clearly who you want to become. Then study the mindset of the successful people you admire. What do they think? What do they say? What do they do? Just follow that. For instance, you'll find that most entrepreneurs focus on emerging industries. Facebook, for example, is now investing in AI combined with video editing tools, right? Every day, I think about trends in mobile internet. I use traditional internet as a reference and then compare it to current trends to assess what can be done now, what's worth doing and won't be eliminated. I've realized that in the future, more and more people will be searching for answers online. What does this mean? In the past, we used to flip through books to learn, but ever since the internet became available, we've turned to it for information, mostly in text form. The emergence of mobile internet has made more and more people willing to seek answers through videos, paving the way for the rise of self-media. Gradually, people are choosing to live and exist more and more in the online environment. Just look at your own life now. Do you spend more than half of your day staring at your phone or computer? Would you be okay if you couldn't go online for a day? Take a closer look. Aren't traditional businesses slowly being phased out? At the same time, we also know this. Starting a business online is like catching a strong wind, and it's easier than ever right now. This is the golden time for those first gold miners. Look back a few years, those who started in e-commerce, live streaming, or self-media rose rapidly. That's why we continuously research areas like online marketing strategies, what niches to pursue, what the market demands, and which industries are highly profitable. Besides that, we also need to know how to better meet market demands. Some demands follow predictable seasonal cycles. For example, short-sleeved t-shirts sell better in the summer and dried fruits become popular in the spring. For these predictable trends, we can research better ways to meet those needs than before. Fresher solutions, lower costs, or higher value. These are also very effective ways to make money. So how did Li Ka-shing start his business? Back then, Hong Kong was under British rule, and British men were famously gentlemanly. They loved giving flowers to women. That habit spread to Hong Kong at the time. Li Ka-shing realized that while fresh flowers were beautiful, they withered quickly. So he went abroad and found a technology to make plastic flowers, fake flowers. At the time, they didn't exist in Hong Kong. These artificial flowers looked just like the real thing but lasted much longer, so they were immediately loved by the public. That was how Li Ka-shing made his first fortune. And what he did back then aligns exactly with what I've said in previous videos. He invested all his capital into major assets, namely real estate. Now let me tell you about a friend I just mentioned. He noticed that during Christmas, many shopping malls decorate with Christmas trees and LED lights. He started a business selling flame effect LED lights, a more visually impressive upgrade to traditional LED lights. The price was almost the same, but the effect was much more eye-catching. As soon as he launched it, sales went through the roof. These stories are actually business secrets, but I'm not holding anything back. I'm sharing how we think and how we catch trends. I hope you genuinely understand what I'm sharing. In such cases, the market demand doesn't change, but because we meet that demand in a better way, we make a profit. There are many more opportunities like this. For example, on Valentine's Day, we all know the demand for gifts skyrockets. Traditional gifts between couples are often roses, necklaces, phones, or handbags. So why not think of a gift that's more meaningful, creative, and truly expresses affection? If you can come up with such an idea, money will flow into your pocket. If you have a girlfriend, use her as a test subject, give her gifts, and see which one makes her happiest. Use your available theoretical resources effectively. The woman beside you is also a kind of resource. Observe the changes around you more carefully. What if you don't have a girlfriend? Then look further ahead. Take the Mid-Autumn Festival, for example. Many people buy mooncakes to give as gifts. That's another seasonal demand. But isn't gifting mooncakes facing some issues? I noticed that people often receive too many boxes. Like I once received 7 or 8 boxes. It was wasteful. You can't eat them all, and too much is unhealthy because mooncakes are high in calories. So someone created a new business model. Instead of giving physical mooncakes, they gave mooncake redemption vouchers. If the recipient truly wants mooncakes, they can use the voucher at partnered locations to exchange for them. In other words, you're still giving mooncakes as a gift, but in voucher form, redeemable for the real product. Here's the key: if a box of mooncakes costs $20, then a voucher would cost about the same. Later, the sellers buy back and used vouchers at 60% of their face value. Since many people receive multiple vouchers, they redeem only one box and may throw away the rest. At that point, they can sell the rest back for 60%, still better than nothing. The buyer who collects these in bulk then resells them at 80% of face value. So instead of paying $20 per box, bulk buyers pay $16, which is a deal. That's why this model became more effective than gifting physical mooncakes. In fact, the total sales of mooncake vouchers exceeded the actual physical mooncake demand in the market. This is the kind of financial thinking I often talk about. Turning physical mooncakes into financial instruments, vouchers. There are people in the market who only run this kind of business once a year and quietly earn tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars because they found a better way to meet demand. There are many similar projects. Just keep observing and you can do it too. Don't say there are no projects to work on anymore. Next is the traditional method: buy low, sell high. If you can spot a few trends that could drive the price of certain goods up, you can buy them early and sell them when the price rises. For example, if you know about city development plans like new subway lines, shopping centers, schools, or hospitals, you can buy real estate in those areas before they're built. Once the infrastructure is completed, housing prices will rise and you can sell for profit. This is a trend-based investment model known as buy low, sell high. I highly encourage everyone, if you make some money after watching my videos, apply this method. In fact, you just need to actively follow government websites or official news. Once the government approves a project or starts investing in infrastructure, you can buy property early. Even if prices have already risen a bit, you're still early compared to most people who wait until everything's built. By then, it's too expensive. However, make sure to follow real estate investment principles. The same buy low, sell high method applies to stocks. In stock investment, there are two major schools: value investing and technical analysis. Value investors study financial reports, profit trends, and company fundamentals. If they find that a company is performing well and its profits are rising, they predict the stock price will increase and buy early to sell later at a profit. But I don't follow this method. If I see a potential that others don't and I buy, but big investors don't follow, I still can't make money. That's why I follow trend-based speculation, mainly relying on candlestick charts, prices, trading volume, or moving averages. I speculate based on the trend. But as I've said before, the stock market is extremely complex and highly unpredictable. If you've never studied it, don't jump in blindly. I believe that in the future, this buy low sell high method will only be feasible in the investment field. Because with the rise of the internet, information has become so transparent. For example, if you're selling a product, you can easily find out where to source it and the lowest prices. Everything is clear. That's why I still recommend entering the self-media industry to reduce risk and stay ahead of the trend in the coming years. Due to limited time, I'll end the video here. I share free knowledge on how to become wealthy, be an entrepreneur or investor, and achieve financial freedom. If you don't want to miss out, follow my channel, turn on notifications, and feel free to share this video. If just one or two things I said today help you live better, then I'll be content.